It might seem odd to describe a movie like Eraserhead as straightforward, but for all of David Lynch's surreal visuals and bizarre tonal choices, the general themes of the film are actually pretty clear. Henry is a young man who doesn't have his life together and isn't particularly close to his girlfriend, but must contend with the realities of a deformed newborn, despite not being responsible enough to raise a child. We see Henry's aimlessness in the film's opening, as the character wanders through a dangerous, industrial environment with a childlike simplicity. And his lack of prospects comes through when he describes what he does for a living.
I'm on vacation.
Henry's relationship is also consistently stilted and awkward, and the dude repeatedly demonstrates that he has no idea how to take care of his child. The film is clearly about the anxieties of becoming a parent, and more generally, the onslaught of responsibilities that comes with adulthood. This is important, because no matter how weird or abstract the film gets, there's always that simple core to latch onto. Where the film gets harder to decipher is in some of its details, but these two make a lot more sense when one filters them through the core themes of the film. For example, Mary's family's strange behavior makes a lot more sense when seen as a surreal representation of the anxiety which often comes from meeting one's partner's family for the first time. Other elements can also be understood this way. Maybe the lady across the hall represents Henry's sexual fantasies, while the woman in the radiator a dreamlike bliss Henry seeks. But the film still has some mysteries. Like, say, what the fuck is with that part where the baby knocks off Henry's head and it's taken by a little boy to a factory where it's turned into erasers?
Okay, Paul!
Yeah, this scene is pretty weird. I do have a theory though. If Eraserhead is about the anxiety of becoming a parent, then we can see this scene as a natural extension of that fear. A key aspect of this anxiety is the notion that one's life is over when they have a child. We get this visually, both with the baby decapitating Henry, but also coming to take over Henry's body. The child becomes the dominant aspect of the parent's identity. This is further stressed later in the film, when the woman across the hall can only see the child when she looks at Henry. Whether this is genuinely what she sees, or merely Henry's perception of what she sees, is not entirely clear. But either way, the symbolism speaks to the erasure of Henry's identity by his child. This is also why Henry's head is transformed into erasers, drawing a connection between his identity and the concept of erasure. That's not the clearest allegory, but I think this choice speaks to the dream logic Lynch employs. Though our dreams often represent our subconscious, it isn't always a direct or clean-cut allegory, and therefore it makes sense that this sequence not be entirely clear either. We can analyze other details of the scene too, like the fact that it's a child who brings Henry's head to the eraser makers, reinforcing that this loss of identity is brought on by children. The factory itself and the efficient system used here might also speak to the fact that what Henry fears is not just a personal anxiety, but something that happens on a broader, societal level. This sequence, then, is not a diversion from the story, but a surreal embodiment of the core themes of the film. Henry's fears of parenthood manifest themselves in his literal destruction at the hands of his child, with symbolic connections to the erasure of identity and societal conformity. Of course, this is all just my interpretation. I don't have any authority to make definitive claims, and that's part of the beauty of Eraserhead. The film lays a clear groundwork with definite themes while still offering enough ambiguity for very personal interpretations. Then again, maybe Lynch himself is willing to shed some insight on what the scene's about.
No.
Well, shit.